Hi friends, I am Stijo Joseph. I am from Kerala. I am the one who will be taking English for you. I know we may not have seen each other, but we will be seeing when we start our regular classes. So before we start our lesson, I would like to tell you, since we are in the COVID-19 pandemic, we are in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, we have to stay at home and keep ourselves safe from this particular corona. So once we are safe, we can keep ourselves steady for the future. So let us stay safe and let us work together for a good future which will be out of this particular coronavirus. We are in the quarantine, right? So it's a kind of choice that we have made that we will stay at home. So since we have made a choice to stay at home, I thought it would be apt for us to start our lessons with a poem. The name of the poem is, as it is shown, The Road Not Taken. It is written by Robert Frost. He is an American poet and it was published in the year 1916. So this particular poem is about the choice, the power of choice. We can make choices and the choices will enable us to be where we are. I am here because I have made certain choices in my early life. In the same way, you too are there because you have made certain choices in your life. It is the same with everybody, our parents, our dear ones, everyone. We make choices day by day, whether to have something or not to have something, whether to go somewhere or not to go somewhere. So all these choices will have a particular say in our life. So before we start, I would like to tell you the gist of this particular poem. Robert Frost, the poet, as he walks along, he reaches a wood. So when he reaches the wood, he sees a kind of divergence of two roads. So what happens? He knows that he won't be able to take both the roads at the same time, isn't it? We may not be able to take both the roads at the same time. We can go only to one road. So he just looks at the one road and he sees that that road is used by many people and it is visible that many people have trodden, many people have walked through that particular road. And what happens, he then goes to the other road and he just peeps through that road and he sees a kind of bushes, grass and so on. So he feels or he finds out that this particular road is not taken by many, and that is a road which is not taken, and he speaks about that road in this particular poem. So he says, as he reaches that particular divergence, he understands that he cannot take one road, he cannot take both the roads. So he just looks through that road and finds out which is better. That's a choice that he has to make at that particular point. So he makes a choice. That's what this particular poem is all about. So now I'll just read out this particular poem and you can follow. Then I will explain it. Okay. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and I looked down as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So the poet, in this particular stanza, he says, once the poet was walking down the road, and when there was a diversion means there were two roads. There were two different paths, and he had to choose one out of them. The poet says that as he was one person, he could travel on the road, on one road only, isn't it? Since he was one. If there were to be two people, one would have taken one road and another would have gone to the other road. So he tells he could choose only one road. He had to choose one out of these two roads. Yellow wood, as I said earlier, yellow wood means a forest with leaves which are wearing out as they have turned yellow in color. This means that this particular season is autumn. That's why it is mentioned as a yellow. It represents a world which is full of people, where people have been living for many years. And also they represent people who are older than the poet. Okay, he says that many people have gone before him, and many are yet to come after him. And before taking the path, what happens is he wanted to know how it was. That's why he peeps through the road, and he finds that there will be cons. If he choose something, there will be both positives and negatives, and he was well aware of it. So what happens, he is peeping through it, and he thinks to himself that there will be pros and cons if he has chosen any decision. Okay, and now we'll go to the next stanza. The stanza is then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grass and wandered where, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. Okay, here what he says is the poet kept on looking at one path for a long time to check if it is the right path for him. And then he detected and started walking on another path, because he felt that both paths were equally good. He says just as fair, so he felt that both paths were equally good. That's why he says just as fair. This particular usage, just as fair, means both the paths were equally good, and started walking on one of them. And he adds that maybe he felt that the path was better, the path he has chosen was better, and not many people have walked through that particular path. That's why there was many grass and bushes and so on. Okay, after he walked on the path for some distance, he realized that both the paths had been worn out in the same way. Okay, he understood that, okay, though they are identical, these paths were chosen by people, and the other path was used as well as this path. And he feels even in our life, okay, that's what he says, even in our life we take any path or option, but all of them have the same benefits. That's what he says, same benefits, or there will be benefits, disadvantages, problems, challenges, and also whenever there is problem we have to face it, right? So he says there will be challenges, there will be problems, and we have to face them. And we think that our choosing is a better option, but always it may not be that way. Okay, that's what the second stanza is about. That is a poem all about. He once again I'll tell you, he reaches a kind of divergence, and he sees two paths, and he looks at both the paths and thinks to himself which one to choose, and he chooses a path which was not traveled by many as he thinks, but as he walks on he understood that both the paths were equally chosen. Okay, now we'll just go through some of the new words. You have come across some of the new words in this particular poem. So I have found there are mainly 4 new words. Okay, mainly four new words. First one is diverged. Diverged in the sense separated and took a different direction. As I said earlier, there were 2 roads, right? That's why this particular word is used here. Diverged, that means separated and took a different direction. Undergrowth means dense growth of plants and bushes. Okay, that means nobody would be able to walk that easily through that particular path. That's why this particular word is dense. Okay, dense means group of a bush or group, anything. Okay, anything in a group which we may not be able to pass through that easily. That's why it's a dense growth of plants and bushes. And wandered where had not been used. That particular path was not used. That's why it is used wandered where. Then worn means damaged. He found that both the paths were used. That's why he used the word worn. Worn means damaged. Okay. Now what happens? You have to just go through this particular poem and read and understand. And if you have any doubt, just keep it and we'll discuss about it later. Okay, and this particular poem, now I'm going to give you a worksheet. Okay, worksheet, very simple, everybody knows it. Okay, worksheet is very simple. That is finding out the rhyming words. Okay, you know how to find the rhyming words. Rhyming words are ending in the first line means end of all the lines we find rhyming words in poem. Okay, if one word is identical to the other, those two can be paired as a one rhyming word. Okay, here you see last one, wood. Okay, which word is identical here? You see stood is there, could also is there. Okay, so you can write either stood or could. Okay, you can write both, no problem. Okay, so wood or stood. And the same you can understand that in the second line, both is the ending word. So which word is identical here? Undergrowth. That is a rhyming word. So that is a worksheet which I am going to give you. So you have to write. This is a worksheet. Okay, you have to go through the poem and understand. These are the words. So you have to find out the pairs for this particular word. Now what you have to do is you have to write these particular words going through that poem and get it signed from your parents. Okay, get it signed from your parents. And after that, what you have to do is you have to write ECP. You know what ECP is? You have to write at least 4 lines of ECP and get it signed from your parents. Okay, this is a chapter, this is a poem all about. I hope you have understood, and if you have any doubt, we'll clarify it later. So thank you, and we'll see in the next class.